You are on your knees in a world that is turned white. Not clean white, violent white. Snow knifes sideways so hard it stings through the gap at your neck, through your lashes, into the corners of your eyes. Your breath comes out ragged and loud inside your hood, and the sound feels wrong, like it's coming from someone else. You try to lift your head and the wind slams it back down, shoving you into crusted snow that's already filling your sleeves. Somewhere close, something heavy hits the ground. An animal, a sled, a person. You can't tell because distance doesn't exist anymore. The storm has erased it. You clutch at the strap across your chest because it's the only thing you can feel that proves you're still attached to your own body. Your mittens are stiff, fingers numb, but you keep squeezing like you can anchor yourself by force. The reindeer are out there, dozens of them, moving blind, panicking, their hooves striking ice-hidden stone with sharp, hollow clacks you only catch in bursts when the wind dips for half a second. Then it rises again, and the noise is gone. Your eyelashes freeze, your nose runs, and the wetness turns into grit on your upper lip. You push to stand, and your knee sinks through a soft spot, dropping you deeper than you expect. The cold bites into your leg like teeth. For one slow second, you understand the real threat, not the drama of it, not the idea of a blizzard, but the simple math. If you can't move, you don't live. If you lose the herd, you don't live. If you lose the others, you might still live, but you'll carry it forever. You turn your head to find any shape, any shadow, and there's nothing, just snow moving like smoke, and a dark that isn't night so much as a lid pressed over the world. This is a survival story, and you are inside it. Welcome to this long, slow simulation of history, where the cold is real, the hunger is real, and every mistake costs something you can't always get back. If you want more immersive journeys like this, more nights you can survive from the safety of your screen, subscribe and stay with the story. Now breathe, slow down. You're going back to the beginning, to the moment before the land turns against you, to the quiet that comes first. You are not born into warmth here. Warmth is something you fight for every day, something you build and protect, something that can disappear with one bad decision or one sudden shift in weather. You wake up in a small shelter that smells like smoke soaked into wood and fabric. The air is dry enough to make your throat scratchy the second you inhale. Your body is heavy under layers, wool that has taken on the sour, lived-in smell of sweat, fur that holds cold on the outside and heat on the inside, leather that's stiff from repeated freezing and thawing. The ground beneath you is hard, insulated by packed snow and whatever you've laid down to keep yourself from losing heat to the earth. Your face is the only part of you that feels exposed, and even that is tucked into a hood, scarf, and collar that brush your cheeks raw over time. When you move, every layer drags against the next with a dull friction sound. It's not comfortable, it's not meant to be, it's gear, not softness. Outside, the Arctic night is already waiting. In winter this far north, darkness isn't an event, it's the default. You step out and the cold hits you instantly, straight through your lungs like you've swallowed metal. The air smells sharp and empty, but if you pay attention, there are hints. Faint resin from a stand of trees somewhere beyond the open, a bite of old smoke drifting from a fire, the animal smell of reindeer, musky, damp, and alive. Your nose hairs stiffen, your eyes water. The sky overhead looks hard like glass, and the stars are so bright they make you feel watched. The aurora might be out tonight, faint green in the distance, or it might not. Either way, the darkness doesn't care.
You are part of a moving life. Reindeer herding isn't a job you clock into. It's a constant negotiation between animal instinct, landscape, and weather. The herd has its own mind, and you learn early that you do not command it so much as guide it, nudge it, read it. You watch their bodies the way you watch clouds. You notice small changes, heads lifting, ears turning, the way their nostrils flare when they catch a scent under the snow. Their breath steams in short bursts, disappearing fast in the cold. They paw at the ground, scraping away crusted snow to reach lichen, and the sound is steady, almost calming. Scrape, scrape, pause, scrape. The animals are built for this, but even they have limits.
Deep snow can starve them. Ice crust can lock food away. Too much wind can drive them into exhaustion. You do not romanticize it. You have seen what happens to animals that fail. A living herd means food, transport, income, identity. A dead herd means hunger, debt, and grief. Your hands know work before your mind catches up. You check straps. You feel the stiff leather of harnesses and the rough rope that bites into your mitten palms. You tighten what needs tightening, because loose gear in this cold becomes broken gear, and broken gear becomes disaster. Everything that can freeze will freeze. Everything that can snap will snap. You keep your movements economical, because sweat is dangerous. Sweat turns to ice inside clothing. Ice steals heat. Heat is life. You breathe through cloth to warm the air before it hits your lungs. You taste yesterday's smoke on your tongue. You swallow and it doesn't help. The others around you move in the same slow, practiced way. In the dark, you recognize them by shape, by gait, by the pattern of their work. You don't need names to feel the weight of their presence. People matter out here in a way that's hard to explain to anyone who has never relied on another human being for survival. You don't separate friendship from necessity. You don't get that luxury. You share food. You share labor. You share the quiet fear you keep behind your teeth. Even the strongest among you knows the land can kill. Even the calmest knows the weather doesn't negotiate. You step away from the shelter, and the cold tightens around you like a grip. Your boots squeak on snow that's been packed hard by many feet and hooves. Somewhere nearby, a reindeer shifts, and the bell or tag on a collar makes a small metallic sound. In the distance, the tundra stretches out flat and dark, broken by low shapes, shrubs buried in snow, rocks, ridges you learn to respect because they can trip a sled and break an ankle. An injury here isn't a story, it's a countdown. You take stock of the night. The wind is present but not yet aggressive. It moves in low, steady pushes, enough to carry loose snow in thin sheets along the ground like something alive. That's a sign, one you don't ignore. Wind is the beginning of everything out here. Wind builds. Wind changes direction. Wind drags weather with it like a net. You look at the horizon, not because you expect to see much, but because you need to feel whether the darkness is calm or tense. You feel it in your face, in the sting on your cheeks, in the way the air presses into your nostrils. Your skin reads the world like an instrument.
You are on your knees in a world that has turned white. Not clean white, violent white. Snow knifes sideways so hard it stings through the gap at your neck, through your lashes, into the corners of your eyes. Your breath comes out ragged and loud inside your hood, and the sound feels wrong, like it's coming from someone else. You try to lift your head, and the wind slams it back down, shoving you into crusted snow that's already filling your sleeves. Somewhere close, something heavy hits the ground. An animal, a sled, a person? You can't tell, because distance doesn't exist anymore. The storm has erased it. You clutch at the strap across your chest, because it's the only thing you can feel that proves you're still attached to your own body. Your mittens are stiff, fingers numb, but you keep squeezing like you can anchor yourself by force. The reindeer are out there, dozens of them, moving blind, panicking, their hooves striking ice-hidden stone with sharp, hollow clacks you only catch in bursts when the wind dips for half a second. Then it rises again, and the noise is gone. Your eyelashes freeze, your nose runs, and the wetness turns into grit on your upper lip. You push to stand, and your knee sinks through a soft spot, dropping you deeper than you expect. The cold bites into your leg like teeth. For one slow second, you understand the real threat. Not the drama of it, not the idea of a blizzard, but the simple math. If you can't move, you don't live. If you lose the herd, you don't live. If you lose the others, you might still live, but you'll carry it forever. You turn your head to find any shape, any shadow, and there's nothing, just snow moving like smoke, and a dark that isn't night so much as a lid pressed over the world. You are on your knees in a world that has turned white. You are on your knees in a world that has turned white. You are inside it. Welcome to this long, slow simulation of history where the cold is real,
The hunger is real, and every mistake costs something you can't always get back. If you want more immersive journeys like this, more nights you can survive from the safety of your screen, subscribe and stay with the story. Now breathe. Slow down. You're going back to the beginning, to the moment before the land turns against you, to the quiet that comes first.
You were not born into warmth here. Warmth is something you fight for every day, something you build and protect, something that can disappear with one bad decision or one sudden shift in weather. You wake up in a small shelter that smells like smoke soaked into wood and fabric. The air is dry enough to make your throat scratchy the second you inhale. Your body is heavy under layers, wool that has taken on the sour, lived-in smell of sweat, fur that holds cold on the outside and heat on the inside, leather that's stiff from repeated freezing and thawing. The ground beneath you is hard, insulated by packed snow and whatever you've laid down to keep yourself from losing heat to the earth. Your face is the only part of you that feels exposed, and even that is tucked into a hood, scarf, and collar that brush your cheeks raw over time. When you move, every layer drags against the next with a dull friction sound. It's not comfortable. It's not meant to be. It's gear, not softness. Outside, the Arctic night is already waiting. In winter this far north, darkness isn't an event, it's the default. You step out and the cold hits you instantly, straight through your lungs, like you've swallowed metal. The air smells sharp and empty, but if you pay attention there are hints. Faint resin from a stand of trees somewhere beyond the open, a bite of old smoke drifting from a fire, the animal smell of reindeer, musky, damp, and alive. Your nose hairs stiffen, your eyes water. The sky overhead looks hard, like glass, and the stars are so bright they make you feel watched. The aurora might be out tonight, faint green in the distance, or it might not. Either way, the darkness doesn't care. You are part of a moving life. Reindeer herding isn't a job you clock into. It's a constant negotiation between animal instinct, landscape, and weather. The herd has its own mind, and you learn early that you do not command it so much as guide it, nudge it, read it. You watch their bodies the way you watch clouds. You notice small changes, heads lifting, ears turning, the way their nostrils flare when they catch a scent under the snow. Their breath steams in short bursts, disappearing fast in the cold. They paw at the ground, scraping away crusted snow to reach lichen, and the sound is steady, almost calming. Scrape, scrape, pause, scrape. The animals are built for this, but even they have limits. Deep snow can starve them. Ice crust can lock food away. Too much wind can drive them into exhaustion. You do not romanticize it. You have seen what happens to animals that fail. A living herd means food, transport, income, identity. A dead herd means hunger, debt, and grief. Your hands know work before your mind catches up. You check straps. You feel the stiff leather of harnesses and the rough rope that bites into your mitten palms. You tighten what needs tightening, because loose gear in this cold becomes broken gear, and broken gear becomes disaster. Everything that can freeze will freeze. Everything that can snap will snap. You keep your movements economical because sweat is dangerous. Sweat turns to ice inside clothing. Ice steals heat. Heat is life. You breathe through cloth to warm the air before it hits your lungs. You taste yesterday's smoke on your tongue. You swallow, and it doesn't help. The others around you move in the same slow, practiced way. In the dark, you recognize them by shape, by gait, by the pattern of their work. You don't need names to feel the weight of their presence. People matter out here in a way that's hard to explain to anyone who has never relied on another human being for survival. You don't separate friendship from necessity. You don't get that luxury. You share food, you share labor, you share the quiet fear you keep behind your teeth. Even the strongest among you knows the land can kill. Even the calmest knows the weather doesn't negotiate. You step away from the shelter and the cold tightens around you like a grip. Your boots squeak on snow that's been packed hard by many feet and hooves. Somewhere nearby, a reindeer shifts and the bell or tag on a collar makes a small metallic sound. In the distance, the tundra stretches out flat and dark, broken by low shapes, shrubs buried in snow, rocks. Ridges you learn to respect because they can trip a sled and break an ankle. An injury here isn't a story, it's a countdown. You take stock of the night. The wind is present but not yet aggressive. It moves in low, steady pushes, enough to carry loose snow in thin sheets along the ground like something alive. That's a sign, when you don't ignore. Wind is the beginning of everything out here. Wind builds, wind changes direction. Wind drags weather with it like a net. You look at the horizon, not because you expect to see much, but because you need to feel whether the darkness is calm or tense. You feel it in your face, in the sting on your cheeks, in the way the air presses into your nostrils. Your skin reads the world like an instrument. The herd begins to move, not fast, a slow drift, a living mass shifting as individuals follow small impulses. One animal finds a patch worth pawing at, another follows, then another. You and the others guide the edges, preventing the herd from splitting too wide. Splitting means losing animals. Losing animals means chasing them into the dark. Chasing them means burning energy you can't afford. You walk along the outer line, your body already tired in the way it stays tired for months at a time. You don't complain because complaint doesn't warm you. You don't fantasize about comfort because comfort can make you careless.
The herd begins to move, not fast. A slow drift, a living mass shifting as individuals follow small impulses. One animal finds a patch worth pawing at, another follows, then another. You and the others guide the edges, preventing the herd from splitting too wide. Splitting means losing animals. Losing animals means chasing them into the dark. Chasing them means burning energy you can't afford. You walk along the outer line, your body already tired in the way it stays tired for months at a time. You don't complain because complaint doesn't warm you. You don't fantasize about comfort because comfort can make you careless. You notice the little injuries that winter stacks up. Cracked skin at the corners of your mouth, a blister under a toe that never fully heals, bruises from rope and wood and horn. Your shoulders ache from pulling and lifting. Your knees creak when you bend. The cold keeps pain sharp, like it's been freshly cut. You keep going anyway. Going is the only option that isn't surrender. Hours pass in a slow blur of movement and monitoring. Darkness makes time feel thick. You rely on routine instead of sunlight. You check the herd. You check the wind. You check the people. You listen for changes in sound, the crunch becoming softer, meaning fresh snow. The crunch becoming brittle, meaning crust. The quiet becoming too quiet, meaning the wind is sucking sound away. You don't need a forecast to feel a storm forming. Your body can sense pressure changes before your mind names them. Your ears pick up a low roar far off, a constant sound like the world grinding its teeth. The first real warning comes from the animals. A wave of tension moves through them. Heads lift in unison, ears pin, hooves stop scraping. It's not panic yet, just a collective attention that makes your spine tighten. You follow their gaze into the dark. You see nothing, but your face feels the air shift. The wind grows colder by degrees you can't measure, only experience. A gust snaps at the fur on your hood. Loose snow rises and swirls in a sudden column, then flattens again. That's another sign. The wind is no longer consistent. It's testing angles, hunting gaps. You adjust your plan without speaking it. You start guiding the herd toward more sheltered ground, if there is any, toward ridges or tree lines that might cut the wind. You make your movements deliberate, slow, non-threatening. Reindeer spook easily when conditions feel wrong. A stampede is chaos. Chaos is loss. You keep your breathing steady to keep yourself steady. You know better than to move like fear. The cold deepens as the night drags on. It gets into the joints. It makes metal brittle. It makes the air feel like it's scraping the inside of your chest. You smell the herd more strongly now. Warm animal bodies in cold air, damp fur, urine frozen into the snow. The scent is a comfort and a warning at the same time. It means life. It also means responsibility.
You scan for landmarks you can't really see. In a place like this, memory does half the navigation. You remember how the ground dips, where rocks sit under the snow, where the wind hits hardest. You remember past winters, past storms, past times you came close to losing everything. You never forget those. The body stores that knowledge the way it stores scars.
And then the wind changes in a way that makes your stomach drop. It's subtle, but you feel it immediately. The direction shifts by a few degrees, and suddenly the air comes harder, more direct, as if the land has turned a face toward you. The gust that follows is heavier, packed with fine snow that stings like sand. Your eyes clamp shut instinctively. When you open them again, your vision is already worse. The darkness has teeth now. You stop walking for a second and listen. The herd is restless. Hooves shuffle. Animals snort. The sound of scraping lichen is gone. Instead, there's movement without purpose, an early stage of fear. You feel it in yourself, too, a low heat in your gut that has nothing to do with warmth. Your mind starts listing consequences like inventory. If the wind rises, the herd scatters. If the herd scatters, you chase. If you chase, you burn energy and lose people. If you lose people, you lose direction. If you lose direction, the night eats you. You pull your face covering tighter. The cloth is already damp from breath, stiff at the edges. Ice will form there soon. You know the sensation, your exhale freezing on your own gear, turning it into a cold plate against your mouth. You keep breathing anyway. You keep moving anyway. You don't allow yourself to look too far ahead into the disaster. You focus on the next step, the next animal, the next shift of wind. The sky gives you no help. There is no dawn coming to reset the world. The stars are still there, but fainter now behind fast-moving cloud you can barely distinguish. The aurora, if it's present, is swallowed by haze. Everything is narrowing, visibility, options, patience. You feel the first grains of true fear settle in your throat like ash. You are still at the beginning, and already the land is setting its trap. The storm isn't fully formed yet, but you can sense its shape. It's out there, beyond the dark, building itself quietly, gathering wind and snow and cold into something that doesn't care about your plans, your skills, your history. It doesn't hate you. That would imply attention. It simply exists, and you happen to be in its path. You keep working, because that's what survival looks like before it becomes dramatic. Survival starts as routine. Survival starts as small choices made correctly, again and again, until one choice goes wrong and everything collapses at once. You take one more slow scan of the herd. You count shapes as best you can. You watch for stragglers. You mark the position of the others by the faintest hints, shadow movement, the dull glow of a headlamp shielded by a hand, a silhouette against the snow. You swallow and taste salt. You don't know yet that you will be on your knees in a white void later, fighting to stand. You don't know yet that sound will vanish and distance will die, and the herd will become a scattering of panic. You only know the wind has changed, and that your body has begun to prepare for pain. You start walking again, slow and steady, as the first real gust hits your side hard enough to make you lean into it. You keep your balance, you keep your breath controlled, you keep your hands working, you keep your fear where it belongs, contained, useful, sharp. Because out here, in the Arctic night, fear isn't the enemy. The enemy is carelessness. The enemy is confusion. The enemy is believing you have time. And time, you can feel it now, is starting to run. You wake before you were fully awake. That's how it always is now. Your body pulls you up from shallow, broken sleep because it has learned that stillness is dangerous. The cold seeps in the moment you stop moving. Your eyes open to darkness pressed close, the low ceiling of shelter inches from your face, the smell of smoke and damp wool thick in your nose. Your breath fogs and then fades.
For a few seconds, you don't move at all. You listen. Wind outside, low but steady. The soft shifting of reindeer nearby. The creak of wood tightening in the cold. No shouting. No panic. That's good. For now. You sit up slowly, joints protesting, shoulders stiff like they've rusted overnight. Every movement feels loud in the quiet, fabric scraping fabric, leather whispering as you adjust. Your fingers are clumsy when you pull your mittens on, swollen and numb from the night. You flex them until pins and needles burn through the numbness, a reminder that the blood is still moving. Pain means circulation. Circulation means life. You accept the pain without comment. When you step outside, the cold clamps down hard enough to steal your breath for a second. You force air in through your nose, shallow and controlled, until your lungs stop burning. The sky is still black, but not empty. Stars hang low and sharp, brighter than they ever are farther south, like they've been brought closer to watch you. The aurora is faint tonight, a pale smear of green barely moving, like it's conserving energy. The snow under your boots squeaks with that dry, high sound that only comes when the temperature has dropped far below forgiving. You file that away. Cold snow moves differently. Cold snow breaks differently. Cold snow kills faster. The herd is already stirring. Reindeer don't sleep the way people do. They rest, they rise, they shift constantly, driven by instinct that never really shuts off. You move among them at the edges, checking for injuries, for animals that didn't settle well, for signs of sickness. Their bodies radiate heat you can feel through your gloves when you pass close. Steam lifts from their backs and vanishes into the night. Their eyes catch light and throw it back at you, brief flashes that make them look half wild, half ghost. You trust them more than you trust the land. They have survived this place longer than any story you can remember. You work without rushing. Rushing leads to mistakes. You straighten the strap that is twisted overnight. You brush ice from a rein's buckle before it freezes solid. You test knots, pressing them with your thumb to make sure they'll hold even when the rope stiffens like wire. The rope burns faintly through your mittens. You welcome the sensation. It keeps you focused. As the herd begins to move in earnest, you fall into the rhythm that has shaped your entire sense of time. Walk, watch, adjust, listen. Your world narrows to what's immediately necessary. You track the animal's breathing, the cadence of hooves on snow, the way the wind pushes sound around. There is a comfort in this repetition, not because it's easy, but because it's known. The land is unpredictable. Your routines are not. The cold creeps deeper as the hours pass. It finds gaps in your clothing and exploits them. The small of your back, the inside of your elbows, your cheekbones already rubbed raw from days of fabric scraping skin. You don't stop to warm yourself, because stopping only makes it worse. Heat comes from motion. Motion comes from purpose. You keep moving. The herd spreads slightly as they search for food beneath the snow. You guide them gently, keeping the line from stretching too far. You don't shout. Sound carries strangely here, swallowed one moment and amplified the next. A loud noise can spook animals already on edge. Instead, you use presence. You position yourself where you need to be. You let your body block paths you don't want them to take. You trust that they'll feel it and adjust. Most of the time they do. You smell the snow before you feel it change. Fresh snowfall has a clean, almost empty smell, like the air has been wiped. This is different. This smells old, sharp, wind-packed. When you kneel and scrape the surface with your glove, the crust resists, cracking instead of giving. Ice beneath. That's bad. Ice locks away lichen. Ice means hunger. You stand slowly, brushing snow from your knees, and look up at the dark horizon. You can't see the storm yet, but your body registers its approach like a pressure in your skull. The wind is stronger now, not violent but persistent. It pushes against your side, testing your balance. Loose snow skitters along the ground in thin, fast sheets. The sound is constant, a dry whisper that never quite stops. You know this sound well. It's the sound that fills the hours before everything goes wrong. You glance toward the others, checking positions. You catch brief silhouettes, the faint glow of shielded lights, movement that tells you they're still steady, still working. No one looks panicked. That matters. Panic spreads faster than cold. You keep your own fear contained, packed down like snow underfoot. Your stomach tightens, not from hunger yet, but from awareness. You count supplies automatically. Food rations measured in days, not meals. Fuel that has to last. Strength that can't be replaced once it's spent. You've learned not to think too far ahead. Thinking in weeks will crush you. You think in hours. You think in steps. The reindeer begin to show signs of strain. Not collapse, not yet, but fatigue. Their movements grow less purposeful. Heads lower more often. They paw longer at each spot, reluctant to move on. You feel the weight of that reluctance in your own legs. The animals are telling you something. You listen. The wind shifts again, subtle but unmistakable. It cuts across you now instead of pushing from behind. It feels colder when it does that, sharper, as if it's found a better angle to reach skin. You turn your face away instinctively, tucking your chin deeper into your collar. Your eyelashes clump together with frost. You blink hard to clear them, and for a moment your vision goes white at the edges. That's another warning. Your eyes are drying out. Your body is losing moisture you can't afford to lose. You keep the herd moving toward what you hope will be marginally better ground. Hope is not a plan, but sometimes it's all you have. You remember this area from past winters. Low ridges, scattered trees, places where snow doesn't pile as deep. Memory becomes a map when sight fails. You trust it because you have to.
The hours stretch. The darkness doesn't change. Your sense of time becomes internal, measured by exhaustion instead of clocks. Your thighs burn. Your feet ache in a dull, constant way that never quite fades. You feel the beginning of hunger now, a hollow tightness that makes you aware of every breath. You know you'll eat later, but not yet. Eating means stopping. Stopping means cooling down. You ration heat the way you ration food. The animals suddenly bunch closer together. Not a stampede, just a tightening of the group, bodies pressing in as if drawn by a shared impulse. You move faster now, alert. This isn't random. Reindeer don't waste energy on nothing. You scan the dark again, and this time you hear it. A deeper sound, under the wind, low and continuous. The storm's voice, still far away, but growing. Your shoulders tense. You feel the old familiar fear stir. Not panic, something colder and more controlled. The fear that sharpens your senses instead of dulling them. You slow your breathing, count steps in your head to keep rhythm. 1, 2, 3. Inhale, exhale. You stay functional. Snow begins to fall. Not heavy flakes, but fine grains driven hard and fast. They sting exposed skin. They collect in the seams of your clothing, already threatening to freeze. Visibility drops another notch. The stars fade. The aurora disappears entirely. The sky becomes a blank lid, low and oppressive. You know this phase. This is when you still have options, but fewer than before. You can try to push forward, outrun the worst of it. You can try to hunker down, risk being buried or frozen in place. Neither choice is good. Both are gambles. You weigh them instinctively, drawing on every winter you've survived. The herd hesitates, animals turning their heads, unsure. You step into a more assertive position now, guiding more firmly, using your body to signal direction. You feel the weight of responsibility settle fully onto your shoulders. These animals don't understand forecasts or plans. They trust their instincts, and to a degree, yours. You don't allow yourself to think about what happens if that trust breaks. Your breath comes harder now, fogging thick in front of your face. The moisture freezes on your scarf, turning it stiff.
You adjust it, trying to keep fabric from sealing over your mouth. You've seen what happens when people can't breathe properly in storms like this. It's quiet. It's fast. You stay alert. The wind rises another step, not screaming yet, but loud enough to steal sound from your ears. You have to focus to hear hooves now. You rely more on vibration, on the feel of movement through the ground. Snow creeps into your boots, melting slightly from body heat and then refreezing. Your toes ache sharply. You wiggle them as you walk, desperate to keep blood flowing. You realize slowly that the storm is arriving faster than you hoped. The edge you thought you had is thinning. You glance back once more, checking for anyone falling behind. Shapes blur together in the dark. You force yourself not to imagine worst-case outcomes. Imagination wastes energy. Reality demands it.
The journey isn't dramatic yet. No one is screaming, no one is lost. But this is the moment everything begins to tilt. The quiet work, the slow pressure, the accumulation of small warnings you ignore at your peril. You feel it in your bones, a deep certainty that tonight will not pass cleanly. You guide the herd onward, step by step, as the wind gathers strength around you. Snow thickens in the air. The horizon disappears completely. The land narrows to a tunnel of effort and endurance. You don't know it yet, but you are walking straight toward the night that will break you open. And still, you keep going. You feel it before you fully understand it, a change that settles into your body like an illness coming on, slow, undeniable, impossible to ignore once it's there. The wind doesn't just blow anymore, it presses, it leans into you with weight, testing your balance, testing your resolve. Each gust feels heavier than the last, as if the air itself is thickening. You tighten your jaw without realizing it, muscles clenching against the cold, against the growing sense that something has shifted beyond your control. Snow is everywhere now, not falling gently, not drifting down in flakes, but driven hard and flat, slicing sideways across your field of vision. It hisses when it hits the ground, when it scrapes along ice and packed crust. The sound never stops. It crawls into your ears, into your thoughts, until it's all you can hear. You try to focus on the rhythm of your steps, but even that is starting to break apart. The ground feels uneven, unpredictable. One step lands solid, the next skids half an inch before catching. You adjust constantly, burning energy you can't spare. The reindeer know before you say anything. They slow, bunching closer together, bodies angled instinctively into the wind. Their heads stay low now, nostrils flaring, breath tearing out of them in harsh bursts. The calm scraping for food is gone entirely. This is movement without comfort, travel because stopping feels worse. You move along the flank, leaning forward, shoulders hunched, using your body as a barrier to keep the herd from drifting sideways. The wind wants to peel them apart, scatter them across the tundra. You can feel that pull in your own bones. Your face burns, then goes numb, then burns again as circulation fights to stay alive. The skin around your eyes feels tight, stretched too thin. Frost builds along your lashes faster now, clumping them together until blinking becomes work. You wipe at them with a mitten, smearing ice across your cheek. It scratches. You don't care. You need to see. Visibility shrinks to a few body lengths. Beyond that, the world dissolves into moving white. Depth disappears. Distance lies to you. A shadow might be a reindeer 10 steps away, or a rock 5 steps away, or nothing at all. You learn quickly not to trust your eyes. You trust feel instead. The tug of the wind, the vibration of hooves, the resistance of snow underfoot. You move by instinct, the way you always do when thinking becomes too slow. The cold deepens again, abrupt enough to make you gasp. It feels like the temperature has dropped all at once, like someone opened a door to somewhere worse. Your lungs protest with each breath, sharp pain blooming behind your ribs. You slow your breathing deliberately, in through your nose, out through your mouth, careful not to hyperventilate. Panic steals air. Panic steals heat. You keep panic on a short leash. You try to mark your position in your head, to track direction,
but the wind scrubs landmarks from existence. The ridges you were aiming for are gone, erased behind a curtain of snow. The ground slopes subtly, and you can't tell if it's guiding you towards shelter or towards something that will break a leg if you hit it wrong. You hesitate for half a second too long, and the wind shoves you sideways. You catch yourself, boots skidding, heart hammering. That moment of imbalance costs you more energy than you want to admit. The herd shifts suddenly, animals turning as one, trying to angle away from a particularly hard gust. You move to counter it, but the timing is off. For a brief, terrifying moment, the line breaks. A cluster of reindeer veers left, bodies blurring, hooves clattering against ice-hidden stone. The sound is sharp and wrong. You react instantly, forcing yourself into motion, waving your arms, using your bulk to redirect them. Your shoulders slam into wind like it's a solid wall. Snow blasts into your face, stealing sight completely. Your heart pounds so hard you can feel it in your throat. This is how it starts, not with catastrophe, but with small fractures, a split, a stumble, a correction that costs more than you planned. You manage to slow the animals, push them back into the mass, but the effort leaves you gasping. Your breath fogs thick and heavy, moisture freezing along your scarf until it feels like a board pressed against your mouth. You tear it down an inch to keep air flowing, sacrificing warmth for oxygen. You look for the others again, forcing your eyes to pierce the white. Shapes flicker in and out, distorted by blowing snow. You can't hear anyone clearly anymore. The wind takes sound and tears it apart, scattering it before it reaches you. You rely on movement instead, counting silhouettes, trying to reassure yourself that everyone is still upright, still present. You tell yourself not to imagine someone falling, getting separated, disappearing into this storm without a sound. Snow starts to pile against your legs as fast as you can push through it. Drifts form and vanish, sculpted by the wind into shapes that trip and mislead. You step into a pocket of soft snow and sink nearly to your knee. The cold surges up your leg instantly, a deep, biting pain that makes you hiss through clenched teeth. You wrench your foot free, muscles screaming. One bad step, that's all it takes. The storm's voice grows louder, deeper, more constant. It's no longer a background presence. It's a thing, a force that dominates everything else. You can feel it vibrating in your chest. Each gust steals heat from your body in greedy bursts, ripping warmth away faster than you can generate it. Your hands start to feel wrong, heavy, slow, clumsy. You flex your fingers again and again, terrified of losing dexterity. Without your hands, you're done. Your thoughts begin to narrow, circling the same concerns over and over. Wind, direction, herd, feet, breath. You push everything else away. There's no room for memory or future here. The storm demands your full attention. You notice small frightening signs, the way your reactions lag by a fraction of a second, the way your muscles shake with effort, the way your jaw trembles when you try to keep it set. The reindeer are tiring. You can see it in the way their backs heave, in the shorter, sharper snorts of breath. One stumbles, catches itself, stumbles again. You move closer, urging it on, but your voice is useless in this wind. The sound never reaches it. All you can do is stay near, hope your presence keeps it moving. If one goes down, others may follow. You've seen it happen before.
You realize you are no longer making progress toward anything. You are just moving to avoid stopping. The difference is subtle but devastating. You scan the white void again, searching for any hint of shelter, any darker shape that might break the wind. There is nothing. The storm has closed in fully now, swallowing distance, swallowing choice. You are inside it. Your fear sharpens into something colder and steadier. This is the moment where mistakes become permanent. You feel the weight of every decision pressing on you at once. Do you keep pushing and risk losing the herd entirely? Do you try to stop and risk being buried, frozen, erased? There is no right answer,
only degrees of loss. The wind surges suddenly, stronger than anything before it. It hits you broadside and knocks you off balance. You stumble, arms flailing, boots sliding. For a split second, you are weightless, untethered. Then you go down hard, shoulder slamming into the snow. The impact knocks the breath from your lungs. Cold explodes across your side as snow pours into your collar. You lie there for a heartbeat too long, stunned, the storm roaring over you like it's found its chance. You force yourself up, coughing, sucking air through a mouth half filled with ice crystals. Pain flares in your shoulder, sharp and hot beneath the cold. You test it quickly. It moves. That will have to be enough. You scramble to your feet, vision spinning, and immediately the wind tries to take you again. You widen your stance, dig your boots in, lean forward like you're climbing an invisible slope. The herd is moving without you now, pushed by instinct and terror. Shapes blur and scatter, outlines breaking apart. You shout without meaning to, a raw sound torn from your chest, but it vanishes instantly, ripped away by the storm. No one hears it. No one can. You understand then, with sudden clarity, that you are losing control. Not all at once, but piece by piece. The land has taken the lead, and it is not slowing down for you. Snow drives harder, the wind howls louder. Your world shrinks to a few violent steps at a time. This is no longer preparation. This is no longer tension building. This is the moment the storm commits, and you are trapped inside it. You don't know exactly when order disappears. There isn't a clean moment where control snaps in half. It erodes, it slips. 1 second you are moving with the herd, leaning into the wind, forcing your body to keep pace, and the next second the shapes around you scatter just enough that you can no longer count them. You turn your head to track movement, and the storm slams snow straight into your face, blinding you completely. You squeeze your eyes shut against the pain, and when you open them again, the world has changed. The herd is no longer a single mass, it's fragments.
The wind screams now, not a background roar, not a warning, but a constant, violent sound that drowns out everything else. It tears at your hood, yanks at straps, rips heat from your body in great, greedy pulls. Snow comes so thick and fast that it feels solid, like you're trying to push through a wall made of ice shards. You can't tell where the ground ends and the air begins. Every step is a guess. You try to orient yourself, turning slowly, fighting the urge to spin too fast and lose what little balance you have left. You search for reindeer, any sign of them. A dark shape lunges out of the white 10 steps away and vanishes again just as quickly. Another flashes past, closer, hooves skidding, body angled hard into the wind. You reach out instinctively, fingers stretching through blowing snow, but there's nothing to grab. The storm takes them. Your breathing is ragged now. The air feels thinner, harsher, like it's cutting your lungs from the inside. You force yourself to slow it down, counting breaths, clinging to rhythm the way you cling to your straps. In through your nose, out through your mouth. The moisture freezes instantly, coating your face covering in ice. It grows heavier with each breath, dragging against your skin. You tear it down again, exposing your mouth to the raw cold. The pain is immediate and vicious. You accept it because breathing matters more. The ground drops unexpectedly under your foot and your heart lurches. You catch yourself just before falling, arms windmilling, shoulders screaming in protest. Your injured side flares with heat beneath the cold, a deep, ugly pain that tells you it's not just bruised. You don't stop to examine it. Stopping is how you die. You keep moving, limping now, each step uneven. Snow packs into your boots faster than you can shake it out. Your socks are wet. You feel it with sickening clarity, the way wet fabric pulls heat from your skin like a sponge. Your toes throb, then go numb, then throb again as circulation fights back. You know this cycle. You know what comes after numbness if you don't fix it. There is no fixing it right now.
You try to call out again, not even sure who you're calling for. The sound rips out of you, raw and desperate, and vanishes instantly. The storm swallows it without effort. The silence after your own voice feels worse than the noise. It makes you feel smaller, less real. You drop to one knee without meaning to, the wind pushing you down as if it's decided you belong there. Snow piles against your leg almost immediately, filling the space, stealing movement. Panic spikes sharp and hot in your chest. You dig your hands into the snow, trying to push yourself up, but the surface gives way, collapsing under your weight. You sink deeper, thigh buried, the cold biting through layers like they're nothing. You fight, not elegantly, not calmly. You grunt and curse and shove, muscles burning, breath tearing in and out of you. Snow fills your sleeves, your collar, your mouth. You spit and cough, gagging on ice. For a terrifying moment, you can't get enough air. You force yourself to slow it down, to think, to move deliberately. Thrashing wastes energy. Thrashing buries you faster. You brace your good leg, push with your arms, drag yourself free inch by inch until you're back on both feet, shaking violently. When you look up again, the herd is gone.
Not just scattered, gone. No shapes, no movement, no sound of hooves. The white has erased them completely. The realization hits you like a physical blow, a hollow shock that leaves you lightheaded. The herd was your anchor, your direction, your reason for moving. Without it, the tundra becomes infinite. Every direction is wrong. You spin slowly, fighting dizziness, trying to pick a direction that feels less wrong than the others. The wind changes angle mid-turn, slamming into your face and forcing you to twist away. Your sense of orientation shatters. You can no longer tell which way you were going. The storm has turned the world into a spinning, hostile void. Your hands are barely working now. When you try to adjust a strap, your fingers fumble uselessly, stiff and slow. You flex them hard, trying to force blood into them, and pain explodes across your knuckles. The pain is sharp enough to make you gasp. You welcome it anyway. Pain means you still have feeling. No feeling is worse. You stumble forward again, because standing still feels unbearable. Movement is instinct now, stripped of strategy. You move because stopping feels like giving up. The wind pushes you sideways, and you lean into it, legs trembling. Snow scours your face raw. Your cheeks burn, then go strangely cool. You don't like that. You rub them hard with a mitten, grinding frost into skin until sensation returns in a rush of agony. Time loses meaning. Minutes stretch into something thick and endless. Your thoughts start to fragment, slipping in strange directions. You catch yourself thinking about warmth, about the abstract idea of it, not a specific fire or shelter, just warmth as a concept. That scares you more than the storm. You force your focus back to your body, feet, breath, balance. Anything else is a distraction. You trip again, this time falling forward, catching yourself on your hands and knees. The impact jars your shoulder and stars burst behind your eyes. You kneel there for a moment, head down, snow blasting over you. It would be so easy to stay like this, to rest, to let the storm cover you and muffle the pain. The thought slips in uninvited, quiet and dangerous. You shove it away with everything you have. You slam your fists into the snow, drive your feet under you and stand. Your legs shake uncontrollably. Your vision narrows, edges going dark. You breathe hard, shallow, fighting dizziness. You tell yourself, out loud though you can't hear it, that you are not done yet. Somewhere out there, others are fighting the same storm. The thought flickers through your mind, fragile but motivating. You are not the only one lost. You are not the only one hurting. That means rescue is possible. That means survival is not yet off the table. The wind surges again, stronger than before, and nearly takes you off your feet. You stagger, recover, stagger again. Snow slams into you so hard it feels like gravel. You hunch lower, arms tight to your body.
making yourself smaller, harder to push over. Your world has narrowed to a brutal tunnel of effort and resistance. This is the disaster now, not impending, not forming. It is here, fully unleashed. The storm owns the land. It owns the night. It is stripping everything down to the bare math of endurance.
And you are alone in it, with no herd, no clear direction, and no room left for mistakes. Hunger arrives quietly, not all at once, not like pain or fear. It seeps in the way cold does, gradual, patient, impossible to ignore once it settles deep enough. You notice it first as a distraction, a tightness low in your gut that pulls at your attention when you're already stretched thin. You try to dismiss it. Hunger is familiar. Hunger is manageable. You tell yourself it's just your body complaining because everything hurts and everything is wrong. But the storm does not let you forget. You are still moving, though you no longer know toward what. The white around you feels endless, uniform, as if the land has been wiped clean of meaning. You lean into the wind because if you don't, it will push you backward. Each step takes effort you feel in your thighs, in your hips, in the small stabilizing muscles along your spine that are burning now from constant correction. Your injured shoulder throbs in time with your heartbeat, a deep, nauseating pulse that spreads heat beneath the cold. You clamp down on it mentally. Pain wastes focus. Focus keeps you alive. Snow cakes your clothing in layers. The outer fabric is stiff now, frozen solid in places. When you move, it cracks faintly like thin ice. Your breath fogs less than before, not because the air is warmer, but because you're breathing shallower. Your body is conserving without asking your permission. That scares you more than the hunger. You finally stop moving because your legs refuse another step. They don't collapse, they lock. You plant your feet wide and brace, bent forward into the wind, and for a moment you just exist there, shaking. Snow slams into your back, piles against your calves. The storm roars, indifferent. You know stopping is dangerous, but so is pushing past the point where your body can respond. You choose the lesser threat and force yourself to think. You fumble for food with hands that barely obey you. The motion feels distant, like you're watching someone else do it. Your fingers struggle with straps and frozen fabric. When you finally get the pouch open, it takes you a second to recognize what you're looking at. Dried meat, hard as wood. You break off a piece with your teeth, jaw aching as you work it loose. The effort feels enormous for something so small. Chewing is work. Your jaw muscles protest. Your mouth is dry, lips cracked and bleeding, tongue numb enough that you barely taste anything. The meat sits heavy in your mouth, stubborn, refusing to soften. You chew anyway because calories are non-negotiable. You swallow with effort, the food scraping down your throat. It doesn't bring relief, it barely registers. Your stomach tightens around it like it's insulted. You eat a little more, forcing yourself to stop before the hunger screams louder. You know better than to empty your supply in one desperate moment. You don't know how long this will last. You don't know when you'll find shelter, or people, or the herd. Every bite now is a calculation you can't fully solve. You seal the pouch with closey fingers and shove it back into place, hoping you've done it properly. Losing it would be fatal. You don't allow yourself to imagine that.
The cold presses harder while you stand there. Your body temperature drops the moment you stop moving. You feel it in your core, a creeping hollowness spreading outward. You force yourself to start again, lifting one foot, then the other. Your legs protest violently. Every step feels like dragging weight behind you. The hunger sharpens. No longer background noise, but a steady ache that makes it harder to focus. Time stretches again, thick and formless. You walk, you stop, you walk again. The storm does not ease. It maintains a constant, punishing intensity that erodes your strength without pause. Snow builds and shifts under your feet, forcing constant adjustment. You stumble often now, catching yourself just in time.
Each near fall spikes fear through you, drains more energy. You begin to feel lightheaded. At first, it's subtle, a momentary narrowing of vision, a brief sense that the world is tilting. You stop, plant your feet, wait for it to pass. It does, slowly. You tell yourself it's just exertion, just dehydration, just hunger, all things you can manage. You tell yourself this repeatedly, like a mantra, even as it becomes less convincing. The storm muffles everything, but occasionally, faintly, you think you hear something else beneath it, a sound that doesn't belong to wind or snow, a low, distant tone that almost resembles a voice. You freeze, heart hammering, straining to listen. The sound vanishes. You tell yourself it was nothing. The wind plays tricks. Your mind is tired. You start moving again, but the seed has been planted. Hunger changes the way you think. It narrows your thoughts, strips away patience, makes everything feel urgent and slightly unreal. You catch yourself fantasizing, not vividly, not yet, but in flashes. The idea of warmth, the idea of sitting, the idea of stopping and letting someone else solve this. You shake your head hard, the motion sending pain through your neck. There is no one else. There is only you. Your hands are getting worse. When you try to clench them, the movement is slow, delayed. Your grip feels weak. You slam your arms against your sides, stomp your feet harder, desperate to generate heat. It helps for a moment, then fades. The cold is winning small battles everywhere at once. At some point, later than it should have been, you realize you're no longer alone. The awareness comes without sound or sight, just a pressure at the back of your mind. You stop and turn slowly, scanning the white. Nothing. The feeling doesn't go away. It grows stronger, accompanied by a strange calm that feels completely wrong. You feel watched, not in a threatening way, but in a quiet, observant way, as if something is nearby, matching your pace. You swallow, throat dry, and force yourself to speak out loud just to hear your own voice. The sound comes out hoarse and thin, torn apart instantly by the wind. It does nothing to dispel the feeling. You tell yourself it's hunger, exhaustion, isolation, your brain filling in gaps because it hates emptiness. You've heard stories. You know this happens. Knowing doesn't stop it. You start walking again, faster now, driven by the need to outrun your own thoughts. The wind punishes the effort immediately, slamming into your chest, stealing your breath. You slow despite yourself. Your legs tremble. The storm seems to close in tighter, snow thickening until your vision shrinks to a few blurred shapes of nothing. You trip and go down hard, face first into snow. The impact knocks the air from your lungs. You lie there for a second, stunned, snow pouring over you, filling the space around your head. Panic flares white-hot. You claw at the ground, pushing yourself up, coughing violently as you suck in freezing air. Your chest burns, your head swims. As you kneel there, gasping, you hear it again. This time, it's clearer, a sound that isn't wind, a shape of sound, almost like a word, almost like your name. It comes from somewhere just beyond your field of vision, close enough to feel intimate. You freeze, heart pounding so hard it hurts. The storm roars around you, but that sound cuts through it, impossibly distinct. You don't answer. You don't move. You know better. You've been warned about this since you were young, about the way the cold and hunger work together, about how the mind starts to betray you when the body is pushed too far. You press your mittened hands hard against your thighs, grounding yourself in sensation. The ache, the cold, the pain. Real things. You focus on them until the sound fades again, dissolving back into the wind. You are shaking now, not just from cold, but from the effort of holding yourself together. Hunger claws harder, sharp and insistent. Your thoughts start to slip, edges blurring. You forget what direction you chose. You forget why you chose it. You only remember that you must keep moving. Your steps slow again despite your will.
each one feels heavier than the last. The storm shows no sign of weakening. Snow has packed into every seam of your clothing. Your boots feel like blocks of ice. You can't feel individual toes anymore. You rub your legs as you walk, slapping warmth into them, desperate to keep circulation alive. Another sound drifts to you. This one is different, lower, familiar. The dull thud of something heavy hitting snow. Your heart leaps painfully in your chest. A reindeer? A person? You turn toward it, squinting into the white, trying to see. Shapes dance at the edge of your vision. You take a few steps, calling out without realizing it. The sound of your own voice vanishes instantly. You walk straight into nothing. Your foot catches on something buried under snow, and you pitch forward, barely catching yourself. You look down, brushing snow away with frantic hands. Beneath it, barely visible, is a dark shape. Fabric. Fur. A body. Your breath catches in your throat. You kneel despite the cold, despite the danger, pushing snow aside until the shape resolves into something unmistakable. A person. Someone from the group. Their face is turned away from the wind, half buried, lashes thick with frost. Their body is twisted at an angle that makes your stomach drop.
You grab their shoulder and shake it, hard, shouting without sound. There is no response. You press your fingers to their neck, fumbling, searching for a pulse through layers of frozen fabric and your own numbness. You feel nothing. You don't know if that means anything anymore. You sit back on your heels, chest heaving, the storm howling around you. Hunger, cold, fear, they all fade for a moment under the weight of this. Someone didn't make it. Someone lost the fight while you were still walking. The realization lands heavy and absolute. You know you can't stay. You know you can't help them now. The land doesn't allow ceremony. It barely allows survival. You force yourself to stand, legs screaming, and look away. The image burns itself into your mind anyway. You will carry it whether you want to or not. As you stagger back into the storm, hunger twists inside you again, sharper than before. Not just hunger for food, but for safety, for warmth, for the simple certainty that you were not next. The storm answers with another savage gust, nearly knocking you down. You lean into it and keep moving, carrying less than you started with. And the night shows no mercy. The hunger changes shape. At first it was a pull, an ache, something you could reason with. Now it feels sharper, more invasive, like it's chewing on you from the inside. Your stomach cramps hard enough to steal your breath, then eases, then tightens again without rhythm. It makes it difficult to tell where hunger ends and pain begins. You stop trying to separate them. They've merged into a single constant pressure that colors everything you think. You are still walking, but you no longer trust that word to mean what it used to. Your feet move, your legs carry you forward. That's all you know for sure. Direction has become abstract. You follow the wind when it pushes from behind and fight it when it comes head-on. But you've lost any real sense of where you are going. The storm has stripped the land down to repetition. White, movement, resistance, breath. Your thoughts start to drift in ways you don't like. You catch yourself replaying moments that don't belong here. A memory of hands near a fire, skin tingling as warmth returns, the sound of fat sizzling, the smell of cooked meat. The memory arrives uninvited and vivid enough to make your mouth flood with saliva that freezes almost immediately against your lips. The contrast is cruel. You shake your head hard, trying to dislodge it, but it clings, looping back again and again. Snow drives across your face relentlessly. You've stopped wiping it away as often. It doesn't feel worth the effort anymore. Frost builds along your eyebrows, your lashes, the edge of your hood. Your cheeks feel thick and distant, like they belong to someone else. When the wind gusts particularly hard, you feel a dull pressure instead of pain. That terrifies you.
You rub your face aggressively, grinding sensation back into it until your eyes water and your skin screams. You welcome the sting. You need reminders that you're still here.
Your breathing is wrong now. Too shallow, too fast. You force yourself to slow it, counting under your breath even though you can't hear yourself. In, out, in, out. Each inhale scrapes your throat raw. Each exhale coats your scarf in another layer of ice. Your chest aches constantly, a tight band drawn around it that never loosens. You stumble more often. Not full falls yet, but frequent missteps that jerk your body awkwardly and send jolts of pain through your joints. Your injured shoulder is worse. Every swing of your arm sends a spike of agony down your side. Your body has begun to guard it automatically, changing your gait in subtle ways that throw everything else off balance. You are expending energy just to stay upright. The storm does not change. That's what breaks you down more than anything else. There is no escalation, no relief, no signal that this will end soon. Just constant force, constant noise, constant resistance. The wind howls in your ears until it feels like it's inside your skull, rattling your thoughts loose. And then the voices start to make sense. At first they were just sounds, indistinct, easy to dismiss. Now they come with shape, meaning. You hear footsteps that match your pace perfectly, crunching in the snow just behind you. You stop abruptly, heart slamming into your ribs, and turn. Nothing. The footprints behind you are a mess of overlapping impressions, half filled with drifting snow. Yours, reindeer, maybe others. Impossible to tell. The sound resumes the moment you start walking again, steady and close. You tell yourself it's the wind catching your hood, your own boots echoing oddly through packed snow. You tell yourself this over and over, because the alternative is unacceptable. Hunger gnaws harder, making your thoughts sluggish. Simple decisions take longer. You find yourself staring at the ground, watching snow blow across it in hypnotic patterns. For a few seconds at a time, you forget to scan the horizon, forget to check your footing, forget to be afraid. The numbness is seductive. You force your gaze up, angry with yourself, heart racing as you realize how close you came to letting go. You feel suddenly, overwhelmingly tired. Not the normal exhaustion of work or cold, but a deep weariness that settles into your bones and whispers that rest would solve everything. Just sit for a moment. Just close your eyes against the wind. The idea feels reasonable in a way that scares you. You know better. You've always known better. But knowing doesn't make the thought go away. Your vision starts to misbehave. White bleeds into white until edges disappear entirely. Occasionally, dark shapes bloom at the corners of your eyes, trees, animals, people, only to dissolve when you focus on them. You blink hard, trying to clear it. Your eyes feel dry and gritty like there's sand under your lids. Tears freeze before they can fall. The voice comes again, clearer now. It sounds like someone speaking close to your ear, calm, almost conversational. You can't make out the words at first, just the cadence. Familiar, reassuring. Your chest tightens painfully. You want to turn toward it. You want to answer. The urge is strong enough that your body starts to rotate before you stop yourself. You dig your heels into the snow and freeze in place. Your heart hammers. You press your gloved hands against your thighs, grounding yourself in pressure, in cold, in pain. You remind yourself, out loud if necessary, that you are starving, exhausted, hypothermic. You remind yourself that the mind invents companions when isolation becomes unbearable. You remind yourself that following a voice into a storm is how people disappear. The voice fades when you don't respond, dissolving back into the roar of the wind. Relief washes through you, quickly followed by fear. How long until it comes back? How long until you can't resist it? Your body starts doing strange things. Your hands tremble constantly now, not just from cold, but from fatigue.
Your jaw clenches and unclenches without your permission. Your teeth chatter even when you try to stop them. You feel disconnected from your limbs, like there's a delay between intention and action. You tell your foot to step, and it does, eventually. You trip again, this time falling sideways into a drift. Snow engulfs your arm and shoulder instantly, shockingly cold. You cry out, a short, sharp sound ripped from your chest. The storm takes it. You struggle to push yourself up, but your arm slips uselessly through loose snow. Panic flares, hot and wild. You force yourself to slow down, to pack the snow beneath you, to create resistance. Inch by inch, you haul yourself upright again, gasping, heart racing out of control. For a moment after you stand, the world spins. The horizon tilts wildly. You close your eyes and sway, arms out, fighting the sensation that you're about to fall into nothing. When you open them again, you see something that makes your breath catch. Light. A faint glow, low to the ground, pulsing softly through the snow, warm-colored, steady. It looks like firelight. Hope slams into you so hard it almost knocks you over. Your heart surges, your breath comes fast and shallow. Shelter, people, warmth, food. The possibility detonates in your chest, drowning out caution. You take a step toward it without thinking. Then another. The light seems to drift as you move, staying just far enough ahead to keep you walking. It doesn't grow brighter. It doesn't resolve into shape. It just exists, hovering at the edge of clarity. A cold realization cuts through your desperation. You've heard about this. Everyone has. The lights that lead you nowhere. The promises the cold makes when it wants you to stop fighting.
You stop walking. The light holds steady for a moment, then flickers. It seems to recede, dimming slightly, as if disappointed. Your throat tightens. You want it to be real so badly it hurts. You clench your fists, nails biting through layers, and force yourself to look away. When you look back, it's gone. The absence feels heavier than its presence ever did. The darkness closes in, thicker than before. You feel suddenly very alone, stripped of even false comfort. Your knees tremble. You swallow hard, fighting the urge to sit down, to scream, to give in to the exhaustion screaming through every nerve. Your thoughts begin to fragment. Sentences break apart mid-idea. You forget what you were thinking halfway through thinking it. Names float up and vanish before you can grasp them. You find yourself talking out loud without realizing it, muttering fragments of thoughts, instructions, memories. The sound of your own voice startles you each time. You walk past something dark, half buried in snow, and don't notice until you're already beyond it. Something inside you screams that this matters. You turn back, heart racing, and approach cautiously. As you brush snow away, recognition hits you like a punch. Another body. A reindeer this time, collapsed on its side, legs stiff, eyes glazed over. Ice rims its nostrils. The sight twists your stomach painfully. You rest your hand briefly on its neck, feeling nothing but cold through fur and glove. The animal's mass blocks some of the wind, creating a pocket of relative calm. The temptation to stay there, to curl against it, to use it as shelter, is immediate and dangerous. You tear yourself away before the thought can deepen. You stagger on, shaking. The voices return, no longer whispering. Now they speak in full sentences, calm and insistent. They tell you you're close. They tell you you've done enough. They tell you it's okay to stop now. The tone is gentle, almost kind. It wears the voice of people you trust, people you miss. You press your hands over your ears, though you know it won't help. The sound isn't coming from outside. You shout back into the storm, wordless and furious, trying to drown them out. The wind answers, louder than ever. Your legs finally betray you. It's not dramatic. The
There's no stumble, no sudden collapse. They simply refuse to lift again. You sink down into the snow, landing hard on your knees. Pain flares, then dulls quickly as cold seeps in. You lean forward, hands braced, breathing in ragged gasps. Snow piles against your thighs almost immediately. This is the most dangerous moment yet.
You know it. Somewhere beneath the fog in your mind, the knowledge remains intact. Sitting leads to lying down. Lying down leads to sleep. Sleep leads to death. The awareness sparks panic, sharp and desperate. You slam your fists into your legs, hard, trying to wake them up. You shout at yourself to stand. It takes everything you have. You drag one foot under you, then the other. You push up slowly, shaking so hard you can barely balance. When you finally stand, your vision goes dark at the edges. You sway, arms flailing, and nearly fall again. You widen your stance and wait, teeth clenched, until the world steadies. You are beyond suffering now. Hunger, cold, pain, they've blurred into something distant and unreal. What remains is effort, raw, stubborn effort. You move because some small, stubborn part of you refuses to let the storm decide the ending. The voices fade again, retreating when you keep moving. They will be back. You know that. You don't have the strength left to fight them forever. But for now, you take another step, and another. And the night closes in, patient and relentless, waiting for the moment you finally slow down enough for it to claim you. You are no longer certain how long you've been walking when you notice the silence. Not the absence of sound. The storm still roars, the wind still tears across the land, but a different kind of silence, internal and heavy, like something vital has gone quiet inside you. The panic that drove you forward has dulled. The fear that once sharpened your thoughts now feels distant, wrapped in layers of exhaustion. That frightens you more than any voice ever did. Fear keeps you alive. Calm, out here, is a lie. Your steps slow despite everything you tell yourself. Each footfall feels delayed, as though your legs are taking instructions from somewhere far away. You watch them move with detached curiosity, boots lifting and sinking into snow over and over again. Your body has become a machine running on fumes, obeying habits rather than intention. The storm eases slightly, not enough to matter, but enough to change the soundscape. The wind drops from a scream to a low, steady howl. Snow still blows hard, but visibility improves by a fraction. Shapes last longer before dissolving. Depth returns in broken pieces. The land doesn't feel kinder. It feels like it's watching. You notice the smell before you see anything. It's faint, almost lost under cold and ice, but it cuts through your fogged mind sharply. Animal, stronger than before, not the diffuse scent of a herd carried on the wind, but something close, concentrated. Your heart stutters painfully. You turn slowly, scanning the ground, forcing your eyes to focus. A dark shape lies half buried ahead. At first, you tell yourself it's another trick, another shape born from exhaustion and hunger. You've seen too many of those already. But this one doesn't dissolve when you stare at it. It holds its form, solid, real. You approach with slow, cautious steps, every instinct screaming at you to keep moving, not to stop again. But something pulls you closer, something heavy and inevitable. As you brush snow away with stiff, clumsy hands, the shape resolves into a reindeer. It is on its side, legs folded awkwardly beneath it, neck twisted at an angle that makes your stomach tighten. Its fur is thick with ice, matted where snow has melted and refrozen. The animal's eyes are open, glassy and unblinking, already dusted with frost. Its nostrils are rimmed white. There is no movement, no breath. You kneel without thinking, the cold biting into your knees instantly. You press a hand to the animal's flank out of habit, out of denial. The fur is stiff and unyielding, cold all the way through.
You feel it in your bones. Something breaks loose in your chest. This animal wasn't just part of a herd. It was work, food, history, responsibility. You had guided it, watched it move, trusted it to survive alongside you, and now it's here, lifeless, claimed by the same night that is chewing on you piece by piece. You sit back on your heels, breath shuddering, the cold fades. All you feel is the weight of loss settling in, heavy and dull. One animal, one failure, one more thing you couldn't protect. You know what this means. One reindeer down means others will follow. Weakness spreads fast in storms like this. Hunger compounds. Survival becomes arithmetic, cruel and unavoidable. You should stand. You should move on. You know this. You don't. Your gaze drifts past the reindeer, scanning the ground around it, and then you see something that makes your heart seize. Boots. Human boots. Half buried in snow, sticking out at an angle that makes no sense. Your breath catches painfully in your throat. You scramble forward, panic surging, brushing snow away with frantic hands. Your movements are clumsy, desperate. The snow resists, packed hard by wind, forcing you to fight for every inch. A body emerges. Someone from the group, someone you walked beside, someone whose shape you recognize instantly, even with their face obscured by ice and snow. Their clothing is stiff with frost. Their hood has blown back, exposing skin that is pale and waxy beneath a crust of ice. Their mouth is slightly open, lashes thick with frozen tears or melted snow. Their body is twisted unnaturally, one arm bent under them, fingers curled like they were reaching for something that never came. You freeze, hands hovering uselessly above them. Your mind rejects it at first. This isn't real. This can't be happening yet. You shake them hard, shouting their name without hearing your own voice. Their body rocks stiffly, heavy and unresponsive. You press your fingers to their neck, fumbling through layers, gloves slipping. You feel nothing. No pulse, no warmth. You rip off a mitten with your teeth, ignoring the pain as bare skin meets the cold. You press your fingers directly to their throat, desperate. Still nothing. The cold gnaws at your exposed hand instantly, but you don't care. You already know. They are gone. The realization settles slowly, like snow piling up, smothering everything underneath. Someone you shared food with, someone whose movements you knew, whose presence was a constant in this white hell. The storm didn't roar louder when they died. It didn't pause. It didn't mark the moment in any way. The land simply took them. Your chest tightens painfully, breath coming in sharp, shallow bursts. Grief surges up hot and overwhelming, cutting through exhaustion with brutal clarity. You want to scream. You want to stay. You want to do something, anything that acknowledges this mattered. You can't. The cold is already clawing at your bare hand, pain blooming violently. You force the mitten back on with shaking fingers, jaw clenched so hard your teeth ache. You know if you stay here, even a little longer, you will join them. The storm doesn't allow mourning. It barely allows survival. You rest a hand briefly on their shoulder, the contact fleeting and useless. The fabric is stiff, frozen solid. You whisper something, an apology, a promise, you're not sure. The wind tears it away before it means anything. You stand. The act feels enormous, like lifting a weight you shouldn't be able to move. Your knees scream in protest, your vision narrows. You stagger once, then steady yourself. For a moment, you consider marking the place somehow. A pole, a strap, anything. You don't have the strength. You turn away, forcing yourself to face the white again. Each step away feels like betrayal. Each step feels heavier than the last. The image of their face burns into your mind, sharp and permanent. You know it will follow you, if you survive this. You know sleep will never be clean again. The storm seems louder now, angrier, as if offended by your pause. Wind slams into you, pushing you onward with violent insistence. Snow scours your face. Tears leak from your eyes and freeze instantly, locking your lashes together. You don't bother wiping them away anymore. You see well enough. Seeing too clearly might be worse.
Something inside you hardens. The world narrows again, but this time it's different. Not foggy, focused. The loss strips something away, leaving behind a colder, sharper determination. You cannot stop now. You cannot let this be where the story ends. Not for them, not for you. Your hunger returns with a vengeance, twisted now by grief. Your stomach cramps hard enough to make you bend forward, breath hissing between your teeth. You force yourself upright and keep moving, one foot dragging after the other. Your legs feel hollow, like they're filled with ice instead of muscle. The voices return, quieter but more insistent. They sound closer now, familiar, comforting in a way that makes your skin crawl. They tell you the dead aren't suffering anymore. They tell you rest would feel good. They tell you you've done enough, that no one would blame you for stopping now. You shake your head violently, as if you can physically throw the thoughts off. You shout back into the storm, wordless and furious, forcing air through your burning lungs. The effort leaves you dizzy, vision tunneling. You slow, terrified you'll fall again. The landscape changes subtly as you walk. The ground dips and rises more noticeably. Snow piles deeper in places, forcing you to lift your legs higher with each step. Your pace drops to a crawl. Every movement feels deliberate, labored. You are burning the last of your reserves now. You know it. There is no illusion left. Your injured shoulder finally gives a warning you can't ignore. A sharp, tearing pain flares suddenly when you swing your arm, making you cry out despite yourself. The sound is ripped away instantly. You clamp your arm tight against your body, cradling it instinctively. Movement becomes even harder. Balance suffers. You adjust again, every adaptation costing energy you don't have. You trip and nearly fall, catching yourself at the last second. Your heart hammers wildly, fear spiking fresh and raw. You realize how close you are to losing the ability to recover from a mistake. One bad fall now would be final. The knowledge presses down on you, heavy and suffocating. You think of the body you left behind, the way the storm had already begun to erase them, the way snow crept over their face even as you knelt there. This land does not remember. If you survive, you will be the only witness left. The thought both steadies and crushes you. Your movements slow further. Your vision dims at the edges again, dark creeping inward. You blink hard, trying to clear it, but it lingers. The storm seems farther away now, as if you're hearing it through thick walls. That's wrong. That's very wrong. You slap your face hard with a mitten, grinding sensation back into numb skin. Pain flares, welcome and grounding. You do it again, harder. You mutter to yourself constantly now, instructions, curses, fragments of memory, anything to keep your mind anchored.
Another shape appears ahead, dark against the white. Your heart lurches violently, fear and hope tangle painfully in your chest. You approach slowly, braced for anything. As you draw closer, the shape resolves into another reindeer, alive this time, standing with head low, legs trembling. Its eyes are wide, rolling. Foam crusts its mouth. It snorts weakly as you approach, startled but too exhausted to flee. You reach out instinctively, then stop yourself. You don't have the strength to help it. You barely have the strength to help yourself. The animal sways, takes a few unsteady steps, then collapses heavily into the snow. The sound is dull, final. You don't stop this time. You can't. You walk past it, jaw clenched so tight it hurts. Each step feels like you're leaving pieces of yourself behind, scattered across the tundra alongside bodies and broken animals. You are shedding weight the only way this land allows. The storm does not slow. The night does not soften. Hunger gnaws, pain flares, voices whisper. And somewhere deep inside, beneath grief and exhaustion and fear, something cold and relentless keeps you moving, because stopping now would mean joining them, and you are not ready to disappear. You move without a sense of beginning or end,
Walking has become a function rather than an action, something your body performs automatically while your mind drifts in and out of coherence. The storm feels farther away now, not because it is weakened, but because you are losing the ability to fully register it. The wind still hits you, snow still scours your skin, but the sensations arrive dulled, delayed, like they're passing through thick layers before reaching you. This is the most dangerous state you've been in. Your thoughts no longer come in full sentences. They arrive as fragments, images, urges, impulses, barely connected to one another. You forget what you were just thinking mid-thought. You forget why you adjusted your footing. You forget how long it's been since you last ate, last rested, last felt anything that wasn't cold. Time has stopped behaving like time. It stretches and folds back on itself until you can't tell if minutes or hours have passed since you last noticed the sound of your own breathing. Your legs move stiffly, almost mechanically. You no longer feel individual muscles working. Instead, there's a deep, diffuse ache that fills your lower body entirely, like your bones have been packed with ice. Each step sends a dull shock upward, but the pain no longer sharpens your focus. It barely registers. That terrifies you, distantly, the way you might be afraid of something happening to someone else. The wind pushes against you, and you barely lean into it anymore. Your posture has changed without you noticing. You are more upright now, less braced, letting the storm move you where it wants, in small increments. The fight has softened. Not because you've given up consciously, but because your body is running out of fuel for resistance.
Your breathing has slowed too much. You realize this only when your chest tightens painfully, forcing a deeper inhale that scrapes your lungs raw. You try to correct it, try to return to the rhythm that kept you alive earlier, but it slips away again within seconds. Your body keeps choosing efficiency over survival, conservation over clarity. The land around you feels unreal. The snow no longer looks like snow. It looks flat, smooth, almost inviting in places, like a place you could lie down without effort. The thought drifts through your mind gently, without urgency. Just sit for a moment. Let the wind pass over you. You're so tired. The idea doesn't come wrapped in fear anymore. It comes wrapped in relief. You stumble, and this time you don't catch yourself quickly. Your knee hits the ground hard, pain flaring briefly before dulling into nothing. You remain there longer than you should, hands resting in the snow, head bowed. The wind piles snow against your shins immediately, insulating them in a strange, almost comforting way. Your breathing evens out. Your heart rate slows. This is how people disappear. Some distant part of you knows that. It sends up a weak flare of alarm, but it struggles to break through the fog. You close your eyes for a fraction of a second without meaning to. The darkness behind your lids feels warm compared to the storm. It feels quiet. You jolt awake with a violent shiver, heart hammering suddenly, panic surging just long enough to force movement. You slam your hands into your thighs, shout at yourself, drag your feet back under you. Standing takes far longer than it should. Your legs tremble violently, threatening to fold again. You sway, arms hanging uselessly at your sides. Your injured shoulder burns with a steady, sickening heat now, the kind that signals damage you don't want to think about. You cradle it instinctively, making your balance worse. You stumble forward anyway, because forward is the only direction that doesn't feel like surrender. The voices return, but they're different now. They no longer whisper from behind or call you by name. Now they speak as if they're your own thoughts, calm and reasonable. They tell you you've done enough. They tell you no one expects you to survive this. They tell you it would be easier to stop fighting, easier to let the cold take care of the rest. The tone is gentle, almost kind, and that makes it harder to resist. You answer them without realizing it, mumbling under your breath, arguing weakly with thoughts that don't sound hostile anymore. Your words slur together. Your tongue feels thick in your mouth. You can't hear what you're saying over the wind, and eventually you forget what point you were trying to make. Your vision narrows further. The world fades at the edges, tunneling inward until everything beyond a few feet in front of you ceases to exist.
Snowflakes streak past in slow motion, hypnotic, mesmerizing. You fixate on them, watching patterns form and dissolve, your mind emptying out as you do.
You forget about the bodies you saw earlier. You forget about the herd. You forget about survival as a concept. There is only movement and sensation, and even those are fading. At some point, you realize you are walking in a wide, uneven circle. The realization arrives suddenly, jarring enough to spike your heart rate painfully. You recognize a drift you passed earlier, a shallow depression where your boot slipped, the faint outline of a reindeer track half filled with snow. You've been here before. That means you're not going anywhere. That means the storm has taken your sense of direction completely. The panic that should follow barely comes. Instead, you feel a strange resignation settle in. Circles are easier than choices. Circles don't require decisions. You let yourself drift for several more steps before a stronger wave of fear finally breaks through, sharp and desperate. You force yourself to stop and turn, slowly, deliberately, choosing a direction at random and committing to it with everything you have left. You tell yourself out loud that you will walk this way for as long as you can. You repeat it again and again, anchoring yourself to the idea of purpose. Your legs protest immediately. Your pace drops to a crawl. Each step is now a conscious act that takes effort to initiate and effort to complete. You feel disconnected from your feet, as if they're wrapped in thick padding. You can't feel the ground properly. You don't trust your balance. You fall again. This time you land on your side, the impact driving the breath from your lungs in a painful rush. You lie there stunned, snow filling the space around you, pressing in against your chest, your neck, your face. For a moment, you don't move at all. The effort required to get up feels immense, almost impossible. Your thoughts drift again, slower now, softer. You think about rest. You think about sleep. You imagine closing your eyes and not opening them again. The idea feels peaceful. Something inside you snaps. Not loudly, not heroically, just enough to force a reaction. You dig your fingers into the snow, nails scraping against ice, and push. Your body responds sluggishly, but it responds. You roll onto your stomach, then onto your knees, gasping for air that feels too cold to help. You stay there for a long moment, trembling uncontrollably. When you stand again, your vision nearly blacks out completely. Stars burst behind your eyes. You stagger, arms flailing, and barely manage to keep your feet. Your heart pounds erratically, a wild, uneven rhythm that makes you dizzy. You slow, terrified that pushing harder will cause it to fail entirely. The storm's sound fades further, as if someone has turned the volume down. That scares you more than the noise ever did. The wind still hits you, but it feels distant, muted. Snow still strikes your face, but you barely feel it. Your cheeks are numb now, completely without sensation. Your lips feel thick and swollen. When you lick them, you taste blood without feeling the cut. You realize dimly that you are hypothermic beyond denial. Your body has begun to shut things down. Pain receptors, hunger signals, fear. All the things that kept you fighting earlier are slipping away. What remains is a dangerous calm, a heavy, enveloping quiet that invites you to stop resisting. You slow again, steps shortening, head drooping forward. The weight of your hood pulls your chin toward your chest. Your shoulders sag. Your posture collapses inward, as if gravity itself has increased.
You think, briefly, of the people you lost, of the animal that fell beside you, of the way the storm erased them so quickly. The thought doesn't bring pain anymore. It brings a distant, abstract sadness, like remembering a story you once heard. You wonder, vaguely, if anyone will ever find you. The question drifts away unanswered. Your foot catches on uneven ground, and you stumble forward, unable to recover this time.
You fall hard, sprawling into the snow, arms outstretched. The impact jars you, but the pain barely registers. You lie there, face turned to the side, snow piling against your cheek, against your neck. The cold feels softer now, almost warm. Your eyes close without resistance. Somewhere deep inside, a final alarm flares weakly, urging movement, urging life. You try to respond. You try to gather yourself, to push up, to do anything. Your body doesn't listen. The storm continues, patient and relentless, snow covering your tracks, smoothing the world back into blankness. The night wraps around you, quiet and heavy, and for the first time since this began, you stop moving entirely. And the darkness does not rush you. It waits. You come back to awareness in pieces. There is no clear waking, no sharp return to yourself. Consciousness leaks in slowly, unevenly, like water seeping through cracks. At first, there is only pressure, something hard against your cheek, something heavier pressing into your shoulder. The cold is still there, but it feels distant now, muted, as if it's wrapped in layers. You try to breathe, and the air scrapes your throat, dry and painful. Your lungs protest, forcing a shallow gasp that sends a jolt of pain through your chest. You don't open your eyes yet. You're not sure you can. Sound returns next. Not the storm, at least not at first, but a low, unfamiliar noise, a dull, rhythmic thump, then another, irregular but persistent. It takes you too long to recognize it as footsteps, not wind, not hallucination, real weight striking packed snow. Panic flares weakly. You try to move, and nothing happens. Your body feels impossibly heavy, as if it's been pressed flat into the ground. When you attempt to lift an arm, the effort goes nowhere, like trying to move through deep water. A thin sound escapes your throat, barely more than a breath. You don't know if it carries. You don't know if anyone is close enough to hear it. You force your eyes open. The world swims into view, blurred and dim. Everything is white and gray, edges soft and bleeding into one another. Snow fills your vision, crusted and uneven where it's drifted around your body. Your eyelashes feel glued together. You blink hard, tearing them apart, and pain blooms briefly before fading again. The sky above is lighter than it was before, not bright, but less absolute. The storm has eased just enough to let light exist. You hear the sound again, closer this time. Boots, heavy ones, measured steps. You try to turn your head and fail. Your neck muscles refuse to cooperate. Panic spikes sharper now, cutting through the fog. You don't have the strength to shout. You barely have the strength to breathe. You force air through your lungs anyway, dragging it in, pushing it out, trying to make yourself real enough to be noticed. A shape moves at the edge of your vision. At first, you think it's another trick, another shape your mind has invented to make dying easier. But this shape has structure. It blocks the wind. It casts a shadow. It moves with purpose. Someone kneels beside you. The sudden absence of wind on one side of your face feels shocking. Warmth follows, faint but unmistakable, body heat bleeding through layers. You try to focus on the shape above you, but your vision refuses to sharpen properly. All you can see is dark fabric crusted with snow, the curve of a hood, a gloved hand brushing snow away from your face. Your name is spoken. You don't hear it clearly, but you feel it. The cadence, the urgency, the fact that it's directed at you. Something inside you stirs in response, weak but undeniable. You try to answer. What comes out is a hoarse, broken sound that barely qualifies as a voice. The hand presses against your chest, firm and grounding. You feel pressure, then movement, as someone shifts closer, blocking more of the cold. Snow is brushed from your collar, your neck, your mouth. Air reaches you more easily. You cough violently, body spasming as your lungs fight to clear themselves. The effort hurts everywhere at once.
You were rolled carefully onto your side. The motion sends a wave of nausea through you, sharp and disorienting. You gag, retch weakly, but there's nothing in your stomach to come up. The person with you steadies you, keeping you from sinking back into the snow. You cling to that contact instinctively, fingers twitching uselessly against their sleeve. You hear more voices now, at least 2, maybe 3. They sound distant, stretched thin by the wind, but they are real. The sound of them anchors you. Your heart rate spikes, uneven and frantic. You struggle to stay conscious, terrified that if you let go again, you won't come back. Something warm is pressed against your lips. You don't recognize it at first. Then you taste it, metallic, faintly sweet, liquid. You try to swallow and nearly choke. The person pulls it away immediately, murmuring something you can't process. They wait, then try again, slower this time. You manage a tiny swallow. It burns all the way down, a line of fire through your chest, but it stays down. Your hands are lifted and forced into new positions. You feel straps loosen, then tighten again. Layers are adjusted, insulation packed around you. Someone presses against your back, their body solid and warm. Another shape blocks the wind from the other side. The world narrows to pressure, heat, and breath. You begin to shiver violently. It hits you all at once, a full-body convulsion that steals your breath and rattles your teeth. Your muscles seize and release uncontrollably. Pain blooms everywhere, sharp and overwhelming, but it's a good pain. It means your body is trying to wake itself back up. You cry out weakly, the sound torn apart by wind, but you don't care. You are too busy shaking.
Hands hold you in place, preventing you from thrashing too much. You feel pressure against your arms, your shoulders keeping you grounded. The person behind you leans in closer, their breath warm against the back of your hood. The smell of them cuts through the cold. Sweat, wool, smoke, human. You cling to that smell like it's a lifeline. Your thoughts come back slowly, sluggish and disorganized. You remember the storm, the hunger, the voices, the bodies, the weight of snow against your face. The realization that you stopped moving. Fear floods you as the memory snaps into place. You were dying. You were not supposed to still be here. You try to speak again. This time something closer to words comes out, but they're slurred and useless. The person in front of you responds immediately, voice low and steady, repeating your name, telling you to stay with them. You don't understand the words fully, but you understand the tone. It keeps you anchored. You are lifted. The motion is abrupt enough to make your vision blur again. You cry out weakly, body protesting as joints and muscles scream. You are shifted onto something solid, wood maybe, or packed gear. A sled. The realization comes slowly, but when it does, relief washes through you so hard it almost makes you black out again. The world begins to move. Not walking, gliding. The sensation is strange and disorienting after so long on your feet. The storm's noise changes, wind rushing past rather than slamming into you directly. Someone stays pressed close, bracing your body, adjusting your position whenever you slump. A blanket or hide is pulled over you, heavy and rough, trapping what little heat you're generating. You fade in and out as the sled moves. Time fractures again, but differently now. You catch pieces, your name spoken again and again, the creak of wood, the rhythmic pull of something moving ahead of you. Reindeer. The thought flickers weakly. They found some of the herd, enough to move, enough to pull. Your shivering eases slightly, then returns in waves. Each wave is exhausting, draining what little strength you have left. Your jaw aches from clenching, your teeth chatter uncontrollably. Your muscles feel like they're tearing themselves apart from the inside. The pain is intense, but you cling to it because it means you're still alive. The storm continues, but it no longer owns you completely. The light grows subtly brighter. Not daylight, but something closer to it, a thinning of darkness, a hint that time is moving forward again. The wind drops another fraction, enough that you can hear voices more clearly now. You don't have the energy to listen properly, but you register urgency, coordination, purpose. These people know what they're doing. They are fighting the land the way you were taught to fight it. You feel warmth at your feet. It takes a moment to realize what that means. Someone has pressed something hot. No, not hot, just warm near your boots. A heat source. Your toes scream in protest as sensation floods back unevenly. The pain is sharp enough to make you gasp. Tears leak from your eyes and freeze along your lashes. You whimper without meaning to.
Hands adjust immediately, pulling the warmth back slightly, controlling it. You are dimly aware of how careful they're being. Too much heat too fast could kill you. The thought barely registers, but it adds to the strange, overwhelming gratitude swelling in your chest. You are dimly aware of passing through something that breaks the wind completely. The sudden quiet is shocking. The roar drops away almost entirely, replaced by muffled sound and stillness. The sled slows, then stops. You are carried again, lifted carefully, your body cradled awkwardly but securely. The motion makes you dizzy, but the air feels different here, stale, enclosed, holding warmth instead of stealing it. You are inside shelter. The smell hits you immediately. Smoke, wood, damp clothing, people. It is overwhelming, almost painful in its familiarity. Your body reacts before your mind does, another violent shiver tearing through you as warmth presses in from all sides. You are laid down on something softer than snow, furs, blankets. Your face sinks into them and you almost sob at the sensation. Hands continue to work on you. Layers are removed slowly, carefully, cut away in places where fabric has frozen solid. Cold air touches skin you didn't realize was exposed, then warmth replaces it. Your injured shoulder is handled with particular care. When it's moved, pain flares so bright it nearly knocks you out again. You cry out, raw and animal, and then it's over. Someone presses something warm against your chest. Another small amount of liquid is brought to your lips. This time you manage to swallow more easily. It tastes like broth, salt, fat. Your stomach cramps in response, sharp and violent, but you keep it down. You drift again, slipping in and out of consciousness. Each time you come back, the space feels more solid, the warmth feels real, the sounds make sense. The storm is still there, faintly, rattling against the shelter, but it feels far away now, held at bay. You are no longer fighting it alone. At some point, someone squeezes your hand. The pressure is firm, deliberate. You focus on it, anchoring yourself in that simple sensation. You squeeze back weakly. The response is immediate. The hand tightens, just slightly. You cling to that exchange like proof that you exist. You are not safe yet, not fully, you can feel that. Your body is still in danger, your mind is still fragile. Images of snow and bodies and endless white flicker at the edges of your thoughts, but something has shifted. You did not disappear. The night tried to take you, and for a long time it nearly succeeded. You stopped moving, you stopped fighting, you crossed the line where most people don't come back, and somehow, through effort, chance, stubbornness, and the presence of others, you were pulled back. As your eyes close again, this time without fear, the last thing you register is warmth spreading slowly, painfully through your core. The storm howls outside, frustrated but patient. You are still here. For now. You wake to pain. Not sharp, not sudden, but deep and everywhere at once. It fills your body like a heavy liquid, settling into joints, muscles, bone. For a moment you can't move because you don't know how to separate yourself from it. You lie still, breathing shallowly, testing what still belongs to you. Warmth surrounds you.
Real warmth, not imagined, not fading. It presses in from beneath and above, trapped by layers of fur and fabric. The air smells thick, smoke, sweat, old wood, damp wool, human smells. Your chest tightens with something that isn't pain. Relief comes later. First, there is disbelief. You open your eyes slowly. The light inside the shelter is dim and uneven, flickering from a small fire set low and controlled. Shadows crawl along the walls with every movement of flame. The ceiling is close, patched and darkened by years of smoke. Everything looks solid, permanent. You are not lying in snow. You are not being buried. Your body reacts a second later. A violent shiver tears through you, stronger than anything before. Your teeth slam together hard enough to hurt. Muscles seize and release uncontrollably, waves of cold radiating outward as circulation returns unevenly. The pain is intense, burning, stabbing, electric, but it's anchored in reality. You cry out without meaning to, a raw sound ripped from your throat. Hands are on you immediately, firm, controlled. Someone presses down gently on your shoulders. Another braces your legs, preventing you from curling in on yourself. A voice cuts through the fog, low, steady, close to your ear. You don't catch the words, but the tone matters. Calm, present. You cling to it instinctively, letting it anchor you while your body convulses. The shivering lasts longer than you expect. It drains you completely. By the time it eases, you are soaked in sweat beneath your layers, breath coming in weak, uneven gasps. Your heart hammers erratically, then slowly begins to settle into something closer to normal. You feel emptied out, scraped raw from the inside. You become aware of your shoulder next. A deep, grinding pain pulses there, spreading down your arm and into your chest. When you shift even slightly, it flares hard enough to make you hiss. You instinctively cradle it, but someone stops you gently, repositioning your arm into a supported angle. The movement hurts, but it's controlled, deliberate. You sense experience behind it. They've done this before. Something warm is pressed into your hands. A cup. Rough wood or metal, heated just enough to be safe. You fumble for it clumsily, fingers weak and unreliable. The person guiding you steadies it until you can manage a sip. The liquid tastes like broth. Salt, fat, something earthy beneath it. It hits your stomach and immediately triggers a sharp cramp that folds you inward. You gag, panic spiking, but hands keep you steady. The voice returns, slow and reassuring, telling you to go easy. You swallow again, smaller this time. The pain remains, but it doesn't overwhelm you. You keep it down. Your mind starts to catch up to your body. Fragments surface. Snow blasting sideways, the sound of wind swallowing everything, the weight of someone dead beneath your hands. The memories arrive without order, slamming into you in flashes that steal your breath. Your pulse spikes again. You suck in air too fast and cough violently, chest burning. The hands return, grounding you, slowing you down. Pressure on your back, a steady presence beside you. Someone is here. Someone stayed. You look around again, forcing your vision to focus. There are others in the shelter. Not many. Shapes moving quietly, efficiently. No one is rushing, but no one is idle either. Wet clothing hangs near the fire, steaming faintly. Gear is stacked neatly along one wall. The reindeer hides beneath you are thick, worn smooth by years of use. This place has survived many nights like the one that nearly killed you. You try to sit up and fail. Your core feels hollow, weak, like your muscles have forgotten their purpose. You slump back, frustrated, embarrassed by your own helplessness. Someone gently prevents you from trying again, guiding you down, adjusting the layers around your chest and legs. The care is methodical, impersonal in the best way. Survival-focused, no wasted motion. You close your eyes and open them again, testing reality. The storm is still there. You can hear it faintly now, rattling the shelter, clawing at the outside, but it feels distant, contained. You are separated from it by wood, hides, fire, and people who know what they're doing. That realization hits you harder than the pain. You survived. The thought doesn't bring joy. It brings weight. The faces you saw in the snow rise uninvited in your mind. The reindeer that collapsed. The person you left behind because stopping would have killed you too. Your throat tightens. Your eyes burn. Tears come before you can stop them, hot and sudden, streaking down your temples. No one tells you to stop. No one tells you it will be okay. They let it happen. The grief moves through you in heavy, uneven waves, stealing breath, making your chest ache worse than any injury. You bite down on the edge of a hide to muffle the sounds you make, ashamed of how raw they are. A hand rests on your forearm, not gripping, not restraining, just there. When the worst of it passes, you feel wrung out and hollow. Exhaustion crashes down on you, thick and suffocating. Your eyelids droop, vision blurring again. You fight it weakly, afraid of slipping back into the dark place you barely escaped. The fear spikes briefly, sharp and panicked. The voice returns, close and steady, telling you to rest. This time, rest does not feel like surrender. You let your eyes close. Sleep comes in fragments, short, broken pieces filled with jarring images. Snow piling against your face, voices calling you away, the weight of a body beneath your hands. You jerk awake repeatedly, heart racing, breath coming too fast. Each time, you find yourself still in the shelter, still warm, still breathing.
Each time, someone is there. The pain in your shoulder is constant now, a deep, grinding presence that flares whenever you move. Your hands and feet burn intermittently as circulation continues to return, pain blooming and fading unpredictably. Your stomach twists with hunger and cramps as it tries to wake itself up again. Everything hurts in ways that make you keenly aware of your own survival. At some point, you manage to stay awake longer. You drink more broth, slowly. You manage a few careful bites of something soft, chewed thoroughly, swallowed with effort. Your body accepts it reluctantly, like it doesn't quite trust food yet. You don't push. You follow instructions without arguing. You are past the point of pride. The shelter grows brighter as time passes. Not daylight, but a thinning of darkness, light filtering weakly through gaps. The storm's voice softens further, losing some of its edge. You can hear reindeer outside now, movement, snorts, the creak of harnesses, life continuing. You realize then that you have been found, not by chance, not by miracle alone, by people who went looking, who risked the storm after it eased just enough, who followed tracks and instinct and experience into a night that nearly claimed them too. That knowledge sits heavy in your chest. You are alive because others chose to move when it would have been safer not to. The thought humbles you in a way nothing else ever has. You shift slightly, wincing as pain flares, and stare up at the dark ceiling. Your body is wrecked. Your mind is bruised. You can already feel the weight of what will follow, the memories that won't stay buried, the way sleep will never be simple again. But you are breathing. Your heart is beating. The storm did not get you. As the fire crackles softly nearby and the shelter holds against the last of the wind, you lie there wrapped in warmth and injury and survival, staring at the ceiling, knowing one thing with absolute clarity. You came back from the edge, and the person who crossed it will never be the same. You wake slowly now, not dragged up by panic or pain, but pulled back into awareness by the quiet itself.
The shelter is still. Not silent, never silent, but settled. The fire burns low and steady, its crackle subdued. The storm outside has retreated into a distant presence, reduced to an occasional gust rattling the walls instead of a constant assault. That absence feels strange, almost unsettling. For so long, noise meant survival. Quiet meant danger. Your body doesn't trust the calm yet. You lie still, staring at the ceiling, cataloging sensations. Your shoulder aches relentlessly, a deep, grinding pain that flares when you breathe too deeply. Your hands throb with a dull heat that comes and goes in waves, nerves misfiring as they wake back up. Your feet burn, then go numb, then burn again. Every part of you feels wrong, like it's been disassembled and put back together slightly out of alignment. But you are warm. That fact keeps pulling your attention back. Warmth is no longer something you have to fight for every second. It exists without effort. It presses against your skin, held in by layers and walls and fire. Your body doesn't quite know what to do with that yet. You feel exposed in its absence of threat. You shift slightly and immediately regret it. Pain spikes through your shoulder and down your arm, sharp enough to steal your breath. You freeze, teeth clenched, waiting for it to pass. When it does, it leaves behind a deeper ache that settles into you like a warning. You move more carefully after that, learning the new limits of your body. Sleep comes and goes in shallow waves. Each time you drift off, your mind pulls you back with images you didn't ask for. Snow blasting sideways, the feeling of sinking into a drift, the sound of wind swallowing your voice. You wake with your heart racing, breath shallow, fingers digging into furs as if they might disappear beneath you. It takes several long moments each time to remember where you are. Shelter, fire, people. The storm is over. Knowing that doesn't stop your body from reacting as if it isn't. Your thoughts circle the same places over and over. The body you found in the snow, the reindeer that collapsed at your feet, the moment you lay down and didn't get back up. You replay it all without meaning to, searching for a different decision, a different outcome. You find none. That knowledge doesn't bring peace. It brings a hollow, unresolved weight. You become aware, slowly, of how the others move around you. They keep their voices low. They don't hover. They don't ask questions you aren't ready to answer. They check on you with brief, efficient touches, hand to forehead, fingers at your wrist, eyes assessing your breathing. When you meet their gaze, they nod once and move on. Survival culture, respecting the damage without naming it. You appreciate that more than you can explain. Food comes in small amounts, spaced out carefully. Warm liquid first, then something thicker. You eat slowly, each swallow deliberate, stomach cramping in protest. Hunger has shifted now. It's no longer desperate and sharp. It's cautious, almost timid, as if your body isn't convinced food will keep coming. You don't rush it. You let your body relearn trust at its own pace. Time stretches strangely inside the shelter. Without the storm dominating every second, minutes feel longer. You find yourself staring at nothing, mind drifting, then snapping back to attention without warning. Your thoughts feel both too slow and too fast. Simple ideas slip away, others loop endlessly. You realize at some point that the voices are gone. Not just quiet, absent. The false companions, the calm suggestions to lie down and stop, the imagined footsteps. Their absence leaves a space behind, an echo that feels almost lonely. That unsettles you more than their presence ever did. Your mind had filled the emptiness with something. Now it has to face the emptiness itself. When you close your eyes, you see the storm anyway. Your muscles tense reflexively, bracing for wind that isn't there. Your jaw tightens, your breath shortens. You have to consciously tell yourself to slow down, to stay here, to stay now. It feels ridiculous and necessary at the same time. You overhear fragments of conversation you aren't meant to focus on, low voices discussing damage, missing animals, names spoken once and then not repeated. The tone is practical, restrained. There will be time later for grief. Right now, the living need attention. You are among the living. That thought lands awkwardly, like something borrowed rather than owned. You don't feel lucky. You don't feel relieved. You feel separate, as if part of you is still out there in the white, kneeling beside a body, walking past things you can never retrieve.
Your body reacts before your mind does when someone mentions going back out. Your heart rate spikes, your chest tightens, your hand curls reflexively into the fur beneath you. For a split second, you are back in the storm, wind roaring, snow blinding you. It takes effort, real effort, to pull yourself out of it. You focus on the fire, the smell of smoke, the solid weight of the ground beneath you. You are safe, for now. The knowledge doesn't sink in easily. Safety feels temporary, conditional, something that can be revoked without warning. You don't fully relax into it because you don't trust the land anymore, not in the way you did before. When sleep finally comes more deeply, it is not gentle.
Dreams drag you back into the storm with cruel precision. You feel the cold again, the hunger, the exhaustion so deep it feels like drowning. You try to move and can't. You try to shout and no sound comes out. You wake gasping, sweat-soaked despite the cold, heart pounding so hard it makes your shoulder ache. This happens more than once. No one seems surprised. At some point, hours later or maybe a day, you manage to sit up with help. The effort leaves you dizzy and nauseated, vision swimming. The world feels tilted, unstable. You grip the edge of whatever you're sitting on, knuckles white, until it steadies. The shelter looks different from this angle. Smaller, more enclosed, safer, and more confining at the same time. You look at your hands. They are swollen, red in places, skin cracked and angry. They don't look like your hands. They look like tools that have been abused too long. You flex your fingers slowly, wincing as pain flares. The movement feels unfamiliar, delayed, as if your body has to ask permission before obeying. You wonder distantly, how much damage is permanent? No one answers that question. Not yet. The day, if it can be called that, passes in slow increments. Light shifts subtly through the shelter. The fire is tended. People come and go. Outside, life resumes in cautious steps. You hear reindeer again. More of them now. Survivors. Each sound is a reminder of what didn't make it. Grief settles into you quietly, not as an overwhelming force, but as a constant presence. It doesn't demand attention. It just exists, heavy and patient. You carry it alongside the pain, alongside the exhaustion, alongside the strange sense of being both here and not fully returned. When you close your eyes now, you don't always see white. Sometimes you see the shelter, the fire, the hands that held you down when your body shook itself apart. Those images anchor you. They don't erase what happened, but they give them edges, a beginning, an end. You survived the storm. What remains is learning how to survive what comes after. And as you lie there, wrapped in warmth that still feels undeserved, listening to the muted sounds of people moving carefully around you, you understand something with quiet certainty. The storm didn't end when the wind stopped. It followed you inside.
You wake to a different kind of cold. Not the kind that claws at skin or steals breath, but the kind that sits inside you, quiet and immovable. It's the absence of urgency, the absence of the storm's roar. Your body no longer trembles constantly, no longer fights for heat with every breath. Instead, it lies heavy and sore, wrapped in warmth that feels almost intrusive. You are alive. The thought no longer feels strange. It feels heavy. Days have passed, maybe more than one, maybe less than you think. Time inside recovery stretches and compresses in ways that don't make sense. Light comes and goes beyond the shelter walls. Food comes more regularly now, still in careful portions. Your stomach accepts it grudgingly, relearning hunger without panic. Your hands hurt less. Your feet still burn unpredictably, nerves misfiring like broken wires, but sensation has returned enough to remind you they belong to you again. Your shoulder remains a constant presence. It has its own language now, a steady ache when you are still, a sharp warning when you move wrong.
You learn to listen to it. Pain has become instruction rather than threat. You sit up on your own for the first time. The effort leaves you breathing hard, head swimming, but you don't fall back. That feels significant, though you don't celebrate it. The shelter looks smaller from this angle, less like a refuge and more like a pause, a place you pass through rather than a place you belong. People speak to you more directly now. Short updates, practical assessments, what was lost, what survived. The herd is smaller, too small. Some animals were found days later, frozen where they fell. Others wandered and may never return. The land has already begun to erase the worst of it, smoothing over tracks, covering evidence. Names are spoken once. You don't ask questions. You already know enough. When you are finally helped outside, the light hurts your eyes. Not brightness, there's still no true sun, but the openness of it. The sky feels vast after the tight walls of shelter. The tundra stretches out again, calm and indifferent, as if nothing happened. The wind is light. The snow lies smooth and unbroken in places where the storm once tore everything apart. Your body reacts before your mind does. Your chest tightens. Your breathing shortens. You feel the urge to turn back, to retreat into the safety of walls and fire. Your feet hesitate. The ground looks wrong without motion, without danger. Too clean, too quiet.
You force yourself to take another step. The cold is manageable now, but it feels different against your skin. You are more aware of it, more respectful. Every sensation carries meaning again. You feel the weight of your clothing, the stiffness of frozen fabric, the pull of gravity through your legs. Being upright feels like a negotiation rather than a given. The reindeer are there, fewer than before, but alive, moving, breathing. Their hooves crunch softly against the snow. They snort and shift, unaware of how close they came to disappearing entirely. You watch them for a long time without speaking. The sight brings no relief. It brings responsibility back into focus. You are changed. That realization settles slowly but firmly. The person who walked into the storm believed in endurance, in skill, in the idea that experience could always keep disaster at arm's length. That belief didn't survive. It was stripped away somewhere out there, buried under snow alongside bodies and animals you couldn't save. What remains is sharper, quieter. You move differently now, more cautiously, more deliberately. You notice things you didn't before. The way the wind tests direction even on calm days, the way snow packs differently along ridges, the way silence can mean safety or danger depending on context. You don't take routine for granted anymore. At night when you sleep, the storm returns. Not every time, not always with the same intensity. Sometimes it's just the sound of wind rising suddenly. Sometimes it's the feeling of sinking, of legs refusing to lift. Sometimes it's the voice telling you to rest. You wake with your heart racing, breath shallow, muscles tight as if you've been running. You don't mention this. You know others carry their own versions. Trauma isn't discussed openly here. It's absorbed, worn, carried alongside daily work like another layer of clothing. Life resumes because it has to. You return to movement gradually, short distances at first, simple tasks. Your shoulder limits you, your strength lags. You feel clumsy in your own body, slower to react, slower to trust yourself. The frustration is sharp, but you swallow it. Pride has no place here. Survival already took its payment.
The tundra does not apologize. It remains vast, beautiful, lethal. The same land that nearly killed you provides food, direction, identity. That contradiction no longer confuses you. You accept it the way you accept pain and cold, as facts that don't require explanation. You visit the places where the storm hit hardest, not immediately, not ceremonially, just as part of the work.
Most traces are gone. Snow has covered the worst of it. The land has reclaimed its surface. But you remember where things happened, even when there is no visible sign. Memory becomes the marker now. You stop once, briefly, where you know someone fell. There is nothing there, no disturbance, no sign that a life ended in that exact spot. The absence feels heavier than any marker could. You stand quietly, breath fogging faintly in the cold, then move on. Staying longer doesn't change anything. You carry the storm with you, not as fear that stops you, but as awareness that never quite fades. You know now how thin the line is, how quickly routine becomes disaster, how easily the land takes without warning. That knowledge doesn't paralyze you, it steadies you. You are more careful with others. You watch them the way you watch the herd. You notice fatigue sooner. You intervene earlier. You don't assume strength where you see silence. You don't mistake calm for safety. Survival has rewritten your priorities. At night, under a sky that still stretches endlessly overhead, you stand outside and listen to the wind. Sometimes it is gentle. Sometimes it carries a warning edge. You no longer resent it. You respect it. The Arctic night has marked you. It took people. It took animals. It took certainty. It left you alive, altered, carrying memories that will never fully thaw. You do not emerge from this stronger in the way stories like to claim. You emerge aware. Aware that survival is not victory, it is continuation, it is responsibility, it is carrying what was lost without letting it crush what remains. You are still here, and every step you take across the snow from now on is taken with the full knowledge of what it costs and what it means to keep moving.